Don't buy in Valley Center until you've seen this video. Seriously, I grew up here and there are a few things you're gonna wanna know that you won't learn from Zillow or reading listing descriptions. And on the surface, Valley Center looks like the perfect small town. You've got great schools, friendly neighbors, safe streets, and that close-knit small town vibe that families dream about. It's quiet, it's community driven, and it's still close enough to Wichita for a really easy commute. My parents actually built their home here back in 2005, just east of town near the High Point airstrip, and they still live there today. And I spent pretty much my whole childhood growing up in Valley Center. I went to Abilene Elementary, I played sports under those Friday night lights, and now my wife and I bring our kids back all the time to swim at my parents' pool, visit the in-laws, and hit the same fall festival and community events that I grew up with. So yeah, I know Valley Center inside and out, and it really is a great place, but it's also changed a lot. And there are things that every family should understand before buying here, because some of those changes might just surprise you. So stick around, because I'm going to give you the real unfiltered truth about what it's like to live in Valley Center today. The good, the bad, and the things that no one else will tell you. Okay, before we get into what it's like to live in Valley Center today, let's rewind for a second, because understanding where Valley Center came from helps explain a lot about what it's becoming. Valley Center was first surveyed back in 1872, right in the middle of Kansas's railroad boom. It got its name from being in the spot in the valley between the Arkansas and the Little Arkansas rivers. So literally, it was the Valley Center. It officially became a city in 1885 when early settlers were drawn here for farmland and a quieter life outside Wichita's growing bustle. You can almost picture them stepping off the train into open prairies and endless skies, which it was back in the day. And for decades, the railroad ran right through town, connecting farmers and merchants to Wichita and beyond. And you can still find traces of those old depots and trolley lines if you know where to look. And like most Kansas towns, Valley Center was built on agriculture, and it even had a brief brush with oil back in the 1920s. And over time, it eventually evolved from a farming community into a true suburb of Wichita, which it is today. But what's interesting is how it's always been an in-between kind of place. It started as a stop between railroad lines, and today it's that sweet spot between small town life and city convenience. And it's that balance between quiet community and growth that has always defined Valley Center. But lately, that growth has kicked into overdrive, and it's completely reshaping the housing market here. For years, Valley Center was Wichita's best kept secret. You could get more house, more land, and more peace and quiet, all for a price that made the east side jealous. That was the deal back then, but here's the honest truth today. The secret is out. The same charm that used to make Valley Center feel undiscovered is exactly what's drawing families here today. And the market, it's changed in a big way. Over the past 12 months, the median single-family home price has been about $257,000, with the average sitting closer to $311,000. There were roughly 120 single-family home sales, and about a quarter of those were new construction or homes that were less than 5 years old. So Valley Center isn't exactly the budget-friendly suburb that it used to be. It's now competing directly with places like Mays and Goddard and even Andover in some price brackets. It's still very affordable by national standards, but for Wichita buyers, it's becoming clear that the gap is closing. And the days of casually browsing listings and sleeping on it and then making an offer are almost gone. The median days on market here is only 14 days, but that number doesn't exactly tell the whole story. Homes in the more affordable price ranges are still flying off the shelves in some cases, and some of them sell in just one day, and occasionally you'll see a bidding war happen. That being said, it's not quite the frenzy that we saw a couple years ago. Buyers today are a little bit more cautious with the interest rates being higher, and it seems like the market is rewarding homes that are showing well and priced correctly from the start. And even my parents, for example, who still live in the home that they built back in 2005, have watched new neighborhoods pop up with new builds and young families moving in, and the open fields that I remember driving past are now becoming cul-de-sacs and construction sites. And it's just wild to see how fast the pace is evolving around here. So what does this mean if you're thinking about buying here? First, you need to adjust your expectations. You don't want to come in here expecting 2018 prices. You're not really buying into a hidden gem anymore. You're buying into a more proven concept. Second, work with someone who knows the micro neighborhoods in Valley Center. Prices can shift dramatically from one side of Meridian to the other. And third, move fast, but be smart about it. Have your financing ready and don't overlook the homes that have been sitting for a few weeks. In a market that is this competitive, a listing that's been active for 30 days usually has a story to it. Maybe it was overpriced, or it had bad photos, or there's something more to the story. And those can oftentimes be your best opportunities for negotiation, because the truth is Valley Center's market is still very strong, but it's becoming more balanced. Sellers who price right and make their homes move-in ready are getting great results. The secret might be out about Valley Center, but for the right family, it's still one of the best plays around the Wichita area. Okay, everyone moves to Valley Valley Center for that small town feel, and to be honest, we really do have it here. You've got friendly faces at the grocery store, Friday night football games that bring the whole town out, and events like the Fall Festival, where Main Street shuts down for a full-blown parade. And I've personally been going to that parade since I was a kid, and still one of my favorite things about Valley Center. My kids and I went just a few weeks ago, and my kids brought home literally bags full of candy. It's one of those full circle experiences that reminds you what makes small town life just so special. But here's the honest truth. Valley Center is growing fast, and our infrastructure is trying to keep up. It's kind of in that awkward middle stage where it's not quite a small town, but not quite a full-blown city yet. The energy and momentum is definitely here, and the growth is happening, but some of the systems just aren't built in just yet. You can see the construction happening every day. For example, Meridian, which is the north-south road through town, gets surprisingly backed up during school drop-off, pickup, and around 5 p.m. There's also new developments going up left and right, but a lot of the connecting routes are still pretty narrow with just 2 lanes. And it's not like traffic is that bad by big city standards, but when you're sitting behind a school bus or a tractor on a 1-lane road with no shoulder, it starts to get a little agitating. But let's talk about the convenience. We've got the essentials here like local coffee shops and a few restaurants, but if you need a major grocery run or to do a Target pickup, or you just want to go out for dinner somewhere with variety, you're probably heading into Wichita or Park City. Growing up, we used to stop at Leaker's, which was the local grocery store, and we would grab donuts on Saturday mornings and then stop at Big Larry's Burgers for stinger burgers or fries after games. But now that Leaker's is gone and that old building has become Builder's First Source, most people go to Walmart at 53rd Street and the newer Leaker's in Park City. This isn't a huge deal breaker for everyone. You're just gonna trade shorter commutes and easy parking for fewer amenities in the actual city. And depending on the season of life that you're in, the trade-off might feel a little bit more peaceful or a little inconvenient. But the good news is the city knows it's growing and they're planning for it. They've actually launched a Main Street revitalization project, bringing new businesses and life back to downtown. There's also a new water treatment plant under construction to handle future demand, and road improvements are slowly making their way through the pipeline. But for now, you just have to know the rhythms of the town. You need to avoid certain routes at school hours and then plan your errands into Wichita into one big trip, and be patient as the progress progresses. Because yes, these are growing pains, but they're the kind that come with a community that's alive, expanding, and full of possibility. And personally, I'd take that over a quiet, stagnant city any day. Okay, if there's one thing that draws families to Valley Center, it is the schools. The Valley Center School District, which is USD 262, has a strong reputation for academics, athletics, and teachers who genuinely care about their students. And honestly, that reputation is well-deserved. I went through the school system myself. I went to Abilene Elementary, then Wheatland, and my class was actually the first to spend all 4 years in the new high school when it opened at 93rd and Meridian. I played football, basketball, and track, and I still remember those Friday night games under the lights. And in a small town, that felt like a really big deal. It's one of those things that sticks with you, and now as someone who's been on both sides, as a student and now a parent, I can tell you the schools here still do a really great job. But the reality is that it's a little more nuanced than the top-rated district label that you might see online. Valley Center's growing population has put a little bit of pressure on the district, especially at the elementary and middle school levels. Enrollment has climbed steadily, and with that comes the challenge of keeping class sizes small and maintaining consistency between the different schools. The district itself is structured a little differently than most. Pre-K through 3rd grade attend 1 or 2 elementary schools, 4th and 5th graders go to the intermediate school, and then it's on to the middle and high school. That means there's a few more transitions for kids compared to other districts, and for some families, that adjustment is a little bit different. But you'll hear a lot of positive things about the districts, and I think most of them are true. But like anywhere, each school has its own personality. Some parents rave about the gifted programs or extracurriculars, while others mention that there's rising class sizes or teacher turnover in certain grades. But like in every school district, I think everyone's experience is a little bit different, and it depends heavily on the specific school and teachers that your kids have. And that's why it's so important to go beyond online ratings and test scores. Those don't really tell you what it actually feels like to send your kids there every day. If you're actually considering a move here, do what I tell all of my clients. You need to go a little bit deeper. Join the Valley Center parent Facebook groups, ask specific real-world questions like how big is the 2nd grade classes this year at Abilene, ask what are the after-school clubs like at the intermediate school, and people are usually more than happy to share their honest experiences. And when you visit, talk to the principals, ask about the teacher retention, the curriculum focus, and what the district's long-term plans are for growth. I'm sure they're happy to answer because the district is proud of its schools, and they're usually pretty open about what they're doing in each department. As far as school goes, recently the high school also underwent an $11 million expansion project, adding new classrooms and a storm shelter, which is a pretty great sign of investment, and I wouldn't be surprised if the next wave of improvements focused on the elementary level. But at the end of the day, no school system is perfect. But what I love about Valley Center is that it's still small enough for your voice to matter. You can get involved, know your kids' teachers personally, and still feel connected to the people shaping their education, which is something that a lot of larger districts just can't offer. Okay, let's move on to talk about some of the quirks about living in Valley Center, because every city has them. So small town life sounds great on paper. In a lot of ways, it really is. Valley Center is kind of the place where people wave when they pass you on the street, neighbors lend each other tools, and the whole community rallies when a local family needs help. That sense of connection is what people love about living in these smaller towns, and it's not just friendly, it feels very personal. My wife and I actually met in middle school here in Valley Center, and she grew up about a mile north of me on about 5 acres. And even now, we still run into old teachers and classmates when we're back visiting for football games or going to our parents' or in-laws' house. That's just kind of the town that this is. It's full of familiar faces and overlapping stories. But the truth is, that same closeness can sometimes feel like a lot when you first move in. At times, I would say that privacy feels a little bit hard to come by because everyone kind of knows everyone, or at least knows someone who knows you. It's definitely not like meant to be a nosy thing, but it's just how small town social circles work in general. People talk and word gets around fast, so if you're used to city life where you can go months without learning your neighbor's name, that level of familiarity can be a bit of a shock. Valley Center is the kind of place where news travels fast because it's just not that big. And that same closeness that we like can also feel a little bit more cliquey at times, because many families have actually been here for generations. They grew up together, their kids now go to school together, and they see each other at church or community events. It's definitely not that newcomers aren't welcome. They absolutely are, but it can take a little bit of time to feel like you're part of the inner circle. And I would say the best way to get connected here is very simple. You just need to participate. Join the PTO, volunteer to coach T-ball, go to the fall festival or trick or treat on Main Street, and consistently just showing up in the community is what turns you from the new family into part of the community as a whole. And my advice is pick one thing, maybe it's a church group, a city board, or a local club, and stick with it for at least 6 months. Show up, shake hands, and you'll be amazed at just how fast doors are open. Because yes, in Valley Center, everybody knows your name, but that's not a bad thing. It just means that you're known, you're seen, and you're part of something real in the community. And once you experience that, it's hard to imagine living anywhere else. Now, I know I've spent this video being pretty real about Valley Center, the competitive housing market, the growing pains, and the quirks of just living in a small town. And you might be thinking, okay, this guy just talked me out of moving here, but that's definitely not my goal. Because the truth is, for every challenge I mentioned, there's definitely an incredible upside. Yes, the housing market has gotten way more competitive, but that means that demand is really strong and your investment here is solid. And yes, the town is growing and the infrastructure is catching up, but that's a sign of a community that's alive, not one that's fading away. And yes, everybody knows your name, but that's also what makes this place feel like home. And when my parents built our house back in 2005, it felt like we were way out in the country. But now when we come back to visit, which is pretty frequently, Wichita and Valley Center practically feel like they blend together. I still hear the planes taking off from the High Point airstrip, just like when I was a kid. And now there are new neighborhoods, new families, and new stories being written all around the town. And that's something I really appreciate about Valley Center, is that it's changing, but it's still got the same parade down Main Street every fall and the same friendly faces at the Friday night football game. The same sense that you're part of something a little smaller, a little slower, and a whole lot more genuine. So don't let this video scare you away, let it prepare you. My goal isn't to convince you that Valley Center is perfect, because no place is. My goal is to help you make an informed, confident decision for your family. And so if you're thinking about moving to the Wichita area, whether it's Valley Center or one of the other great suburbs, and you want someone who will give you the straight up truth about what it's really like to live here, I would love to help. I'm a local agent and I help people relocate here and move about the city all of the time, and I'd love to be a good resource for you. You can find all of my information in the description below, and I've also got some good free goodies about Wichita and the surrounding areas that I think will help. And before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I make new videos about Wichita and the surrounding areas every single week. With that being said, that's all for this video, and I will see you on the next one.